strong wind blows, the stems they bend and again they stand up as usual. So this bending and again standing up, it is mainly due to the elastic nature of this parenchyma only, right? Next tissue is sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma, it consists of, see, if you could see the cells of sclerenchyma, there are not at all the intercellular spaces seen, because the cell walls of this tissue, the cell walls of the cells of this tissue, it is very thick. So the cells, they consist of thick walls and which are very closely packed, and the cells of this tissue are mostly the dead cells. So there are no intercellular spaces present. The thickness of the cell wall is mainly due to the presence of a substance called, this is not made up of cellulose as we have seen in case of this parenchyma. In case of sclerenchyma, what happens is here, this tissue is made up of the thickening of the cell wall. It is because of a substance called lignin. Lignin is a very strong, it is also a carbohydrate only. So it is a very strong carbohydrate which is present in between the cells like a cementing material. And the function of this tissue, if you take, since they contain the hard deposits of lignin, they give mechanical strength to the plant, and the cells of the sclerenchyma, they are of two types. One is known as fibers and the second one is known as sclerites. Fibers, if you see the fibers like from coconut and from some jute plant, we get the fibers. These fibers we get are nothing but, if you touch those fibers, they seems to be very hard. Why they are very hard means because they are made up of this sclerenchyma tissue only. So why they are very hard means because of the presence of this lignin in between the cells. That is why the cells or cell wall is called as the lignified cell wall, as it is written over here. Then the sclerites, actually these are also sclerenchyma cells. Fibers, they appear like a long thread like structures, whereas sclerites, they are small and they are like oval or irregular shape. They actually contain the thick lignified walls with some pits inside them. These are actually seen in case of the seed coats, some hard seed coats like the seed coat of pea seeds. So in the pulp of fruits like mango, juicy fruits, if you see like sweet lemon, all these fruits, they contain pulp. So that pulp is made up of those sclerites. So sclerenchyma tissue, it is of two types. One is fibers and the second one is sclerites. Fibers are present in the stems of certain plants like coconut and even in the jute plants, whereas sclerites are present in the coat of the seeds as well as in the pulp of the fruits, right? So with this, the simple tissue is over. Then we'll move on to the complex tissue. So complex tissue are of two types. One is xylem and the other one is phloem. Why this is called complex tissue means here the tissue is made up of more than one type of cells, that we will see when we discuss the xylem and phloem in detail. First come to xylem. Xylem, actually it is the tissue which is responsible for the transportation of water in plants. So through xylem, water is transported in plants. So this xylem is that which contains four types of cells. Xylem contains four types of cells. One is called tracheids, second one is called vessel. This is the vessel. The first one is tracheid and the second one is vessel. Third one is xylem parenchyma and the fourth one is xylem sclerenchyma. Xylem parenchyma and xylem sclerenchyma. So four different types of cells are making up the single tissue. See here, in case of simple tissue, only one type of cells were making the whole tissue, but here four different types of cells. One is tracheids, second one is vessels, then xylem parenchyma and xylem sclerenchyma. These four are making the tissue, the one tissue. That is why this tissue, it is known as complex tissue. So xylem and phloem, these two are not only called as complex tissue, but also they are called as conducting tissue because one is conducting the water and minerals and the other one is conducting the food. So they help in the transportation of food, water and minerals throughout the plant, we can say. Then they run along the entire length of root. So these are the tissue which are present in the middle of all the parts of the plant, starting from root to the stem, in leaves also. In the middle of these parts, actually this xylem and phloem, this complex tissue is present. Xylem, it is made up of mostly the dead cells. It contains only xylem, parenchyma, the living cells. The remaining three are the dead cells that are present, and these cells are generally elongated and tubular structures. They are arranged end to end, forming a network of tube-like structures. See, end to end means one after the other. Even vessels, one after the other. This is one vessel completed and this is the second vessel beginning and completed. So this is how the cells are arranged end to end, so that they are forming a continuous network or tube-like structures. So this is for the transportation of, this is for the continuous, like how we water the plants using a long tube, water tube. The same way these are arranged in the center of the plant parts like a long tubular structures. So this is to facilitate the transportation of water and minerals. They have thick cell walls composed of lignin. Pits are present over, these are the small dots or nothing but the pits which are present on the walls, right? So cytoplasm is generally absent. Why the cytoplasm is absent means because they are dead cells. So they have large cavity. This is the cavity which is present inside them, which is required for the transportation of water and minerals. So parenchyma and sclerenchyma, already we have seen the structures. That is why I have shown you only the tracheids and vessels. Here also the cytoplasm is absent in vessels. So they contain a cavity within, in the middle of the cell, which is required for the passage of the water and minerals. Next to xylem is phloem. So this is phloem. This phloem is also made up of four types of cells. So phloem, like how the xylem is made up of four types of cells, phloem is also made up of four types of cells, mostly living cells which are also elongated and tubular. This contains the living cells, the companion cells, the sieve tube. This is the sieve tube. The second one is companion cell. And then like how the xylem contained xylem parenchyma and sclerenchyma. This parenchyma and sclerenchyma is mainly to give support to the complex tissue or conducting tissue. They are present commonly, right? So these four are the types of different types of cells that are present in this complex tissue. One is sieve tubes. Here it is written. These are sieve. They are also tubular structures only, but in between one tube and the another tube, there are sieves present. Sieves are nothing but like how at home are your mothers, they sieve the floor using some strainer, strainer, right? So the type of strains are present over here through which the food material is passed. And the second type of cells or the companion cells here. Companion cells, xylem parenchyma are living, whereas sieve tubes and the xylem phloem sclerenchyma, they are dead. So most of the cells here we can say they are living, and they have thin walls made up of cellulose. Here the wall is very, the cells, they contain the thin walls which are made up of cellulose. Phloem cells, actually they are narrow, and they contain the cell cytoplasm, because there are some cells are living cells like companion cells and parenchyma are living cells. They contain the cytoplasm, and this portion of the sieve tube, it contains a perforated, means the plate with the holes. This is known as the sieve plate, and these sieve tubes and companion cells, they are the main elements of the phloem which are required for the transportation of the food. Actually these sieve tubes earlier, before when they are formed, they are living, but afterwards, by losing their protoplasm, that is cytoplasm with the cell membrane, they become the dead cells. So they utilize the nucleus. Nucleus is, they utilize the material from the companion cells. That is where their companion means the one who is helping. That is why these are called the companion cells, since they are helping this sieve tubes, the cells of the sieve tubes. So this is about the phloem also, and phloem is mainly meant for the transportation of food. We'll go through a quick recap what we have discussed so far. So the permanent tissue. The characters of permanent tissue, if you see, they are composed of group of cells that have lost the power of division. They have a definite shape, form and size. The tissues may be living or dead. Cells may be thick-walled or thin. The nucleus is located in the periphery of the cells. Simple tissues. Simple tissues are of two types: dermal tissue, which are present in the epidermis of the plant, and the ground tissue, which is present in most parts of the plant. This is of three types: ground tissue, parenchyma, uh, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Parenchyma, the cells are very thin-walled and have the intercellular spaces. Cells contain large central vacuoles, so the nucleus is pushed to the periphery and they synthesize and store the food. Chlorenchyma, it is a type of parenchyma which is present in the leaves which carry out the photosynthesis, whereas aerenchyma is a large air cavities present in the parenchyma of the aquatic plants which help them to float. Next is collenchyma. Cells are elongated. We have already seen the characteristics with the help of a diagram. They are oval shaped. Cells contain cellulose thickenings in the corners, so leaving very less intercellular space. It is found beneath the epidermis and dipode stems. It provides mechanical strength and elasticity to the plants. Next one is sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma is, it consists of thick-walled, closely packed dead cells. Thickenings of the cells is mainly due to the uh, accumulation of the lignin. It gives mechanical strength to the plants. It contains two types of cells. One is fibers and the second one is sclerites. Then complex tissue, or of two types we have seen: xylem and phloem. Xylem is made up of tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma, and xylem sclerenchyma. Xylem helps mainly in the transportation of water and minerals from the ground, that is from the roots to the leaves of the plant, and xylem contains mostly dead cells. They contain thick cell walls which are made up of lignin. Wherever the lignin is there, the cells would be dead only. Then phloem, it is made up of sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem sclerenchyma. It helps in the transportation of food from the leaves both upwards and downwards. Leaves synthesize the food, and from there the phloem transports food to the other parts of the plant. Contains mostly the living cells, and the cells are here thin cell wall which is made up of cellulose. And in our next lecture we'll be starting with the animal tissues.